Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiti.
Yes, you did.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Oh, Uttama Sloka, that's what I
Alright, so Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text number 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text number 6, not 5, right? Did Mayapur do 5 yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, text number 6, that's what's on the board?
Yes.
Okay. Nirodo Shanusayanam Nirodo Shanusayanam Nirodo Shanusayanam Atmana Saha Shakti Atmana Saha Shakti Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti Swarupena Vyavastiti Nirodosh Yanusayanam Atmana Saha Sakti Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti Nirodosh Yanusayanam Atmana Saha Sakti Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti Nirodosh Yanusayanam Atmana Saha Sakti Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti
Nirodosya Anusayanam Atmana Saha Shakti Mukti Hitva Anyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti
Nirodasayanam
Atmana Saha Sakti Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti
Atmana Sahasakti
Sarupam
Swarupena Svavastiti
Swarupena Vivasti
Nirodhasya Nushayanam
Nirodashanyayanam
Atmana Saha Shaktivi
Atmana Saha Shaktivi
Muktirhitvanyakarupam
Muktirhidvanyakarupam
Svarupena Vyavastiti
Swarupena Vyavastiti
Nirodhasayanushayanam
Nirodashanyayanam
Atmana Sahasaktivi
Atmana Saha Shaktivi
Muktirhitvanyayatarupam
Muktirhidvanyakarupam
Svarupena Vyavastiti
Swarupena Vyavastiti
Word to word. Nirodha. The winding up of the cosmic manifestation.
The winding up the cosmic manifestation
Asha
Asha
of his. Anushayanam. The lying down of the Purusha. Incarnation Mahavishnu.
Incarnation Mahavishnu
In mystic slumber.
in mystic slumber
Atmanaha
Atmanaha
of the living entity.
of the living entities
Saha
Saha
along with
along with
Shakti B
Shakti
with the energy.
with the energies
Mukti
Mukti
liberation.
liberation
Hitwa
Hitva
giving up.
giving up
Anyata
Anyata
ever was.
otherwise
Rupam
Rupam
form.
form
Swarupena
Swarupena
in constitutional form.
in constitutional form
Vyavastiti
Vyavastiti
permanent situation.
permanent situation
Translation, please repeat. The merging of the living entity
The merging of the living entity
along with its conditional living tendency
along with its conditional living tendencies
with the mystic lying down of Mahavishnu
with the mystic lying down of Mahavishnu
is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation.
is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation.
Liberation is the permanent situation
Liberation is the permanent situation
of the form of the living entity
the form of the living entity
after he gives up
after he gives us
the changeable, gross, and subtle material bodies. I'll repeat it. The merging of the living entity along with his conditional living tendency with the mystic lying down of Mahavishnu is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation. Liberation is the permanent situation of the form of the living entity after he gives up the changeable, gross, and subtle material body. Srila Prabhupada's divine purport. She is just one big paragraph. As we have discussed several times, there are two types of living entities. Most of them are ever liberated, or nitya muktas, while some of them are ever conditioned. The ever conditioned souls are apt to develop a mentality of lording over the material nature, and therefore the material cosmic creation is manifested to give the ever conditioned souls two kinds of facilities. One facility is that the conditioned soul can act according to his tendency to lord it over the cosmic manifestation. And the other facility gives the conditioned soul a chance to come back to Godhead. So after the winding up of the cosmic manifestation, most of the conditioned souls merge into the existence of Mahavishnu the personality of Godhead. Lying in his mystic slumber, to be created again in the next creation. But some of the conditioned souls who follow the transcendental sound in the form of Vedic literatures and are thus able to go back to Godhead, attain spiritual and original bodies after quitting the conditional growths and subtle material bodies. The material conditional bodies develop out of the living entity's forgetfulness of their relationship with Godhead. And during the course of the cosmic manifestation, the conditioned souls are given a chance to revive their original status of life with the help of revealed scripture, so mercifully compiled by the Lord in his different incarnations. Reading or hearing of such transcendental literatures helps one become liberated, even in the conditional stage of material existence. All the Vedic literatures aim at devotional service to the personality of Godhead. And as soon as one is fixed upon this point, he at once becomes liberated from conditional life. The material growths and subtle forms are simply due to the conditioned soul's ignorance, and as soon as he is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, he becomes eligible to be freed from the conditioned state. This devotional service is transcendental attraction for the Supreme, on account of his being the source of all pleasing humans. The source of all pleasing humans. Everyone is after some pleasure of humor for enjoyment, but does not know the supreme source of all attraction. Raso vai saharasam hi evayam labdvanan evayam labvanandi bhavati. The Vedic hymns inform everyone about the supreme source of pleasure, the unlimited fountainhead of all pleasure is the personality of Godhead. And one who is fortunate enough to get this information through transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam becomes perfectly liberated to occupy his place, his proper place in the kingdom of God. Thus ends the Bhagavatam purport to the 6th sloka, 10th chapter of the 2nd canto. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Aganadimilandasya Ginanjana Shilakaya Kachun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Taptikanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavane Swari Rishabhani Stitu Devi Pranamam Hari Priye Namo Mavadanyaya Krishna Prema Prayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gurtishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Gopramani Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vanchikapya Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Bhavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Do you know who that is?
With the mask, it's like really hard. You know.
Mother Gora.
Is that Mother Laura? Oh, I would have guessed.
Me too. I was like, hey, who is that?
Nice to see you, Mother Laura. I was thinking about you a little bit this past week because
Me
we were
too.
dealing with the mobile home a little bit, you know. So it kind of
Are you coming back?
naturally made me to think about you.
The doors are still open. You should come back.
Mother Gloria is one of those fortunate conditioned souls who somehow ever come in contact with the devotees at only around 14 years of age. In Chicago, married a devotee, had maybe 6 children, all grown up Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. First daughter married to Shastra's first son, lived in Atlanta, had been exceptional donors to the Talavana. And Mother Gura, homeschooled every one of them. And diligently served her husband in Chicago. They were temple presidents in New Orleans for some time before Katrina forced them out of New Orleans. And Mother Gura stayed here until her daughter and son-in-law built a house in Atlanta. And they built, along with their house, they built a little grandmother's, they call it grandmother's house, for her. That way she could still supervise her youngest child, her daughter, while she finished her high school. At the same time, help take care of their grandchildren, and at the same time teach school. During all that, she went back to school and got a teacher's degree, and she teaches school in Atlanta.
Right.
I can do one if you like. I'm sure she will. I know she helped my daughter in her cooking class. I still remember that she was having wonderful
You'll have to
classes.
get your daughter over here to do some cooking.
Yeah,
She's doing too much building design. She's an architect. So, just see, the devotees are examples of the Bhagavatam. Because we hear the Bhagavatam, and this chapter designates or states Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point that if we can hear the Bhagavatam, we can start to change our nature. Our material nature is that, we're all have to be somewhat defensive as well as offensive, because we have to look out for ourselves, and because everybody else is looking out for themselves. And so, people, they like stake a claim, or they claim this is mine. It begins at the time of birth. We think that, the body is mine now to enjoy. Even though it may be so painful in so many ways, we're always looking for that opportunity to enjoy. And because of this conditioned mentality, we think the enjoyment is to enjoy our body through the objects of the senses, which means somehow we have to lord it over. We have to get these objects. Whether it be a soulmate, or whether it be, whatever a person becomes habituated to, different forms of intoxication, or different forms of food, or different excitements, like one gets in the high of making quick money through gambling. So many ways that one seeks out the objects of the senses to obtain enjoyment, but it's all, Prabhupada sums it up in this description of the mentality of lording it over the material nature. We have to somehow have to take control of some part of material nature. Sometimes Prabhupada would use the phrase, we think we are the lord of all we survey. We may not think we're the lord of everything, because it's so much more vast than our little bitty selves. But we all have some things that are within our grips, whether it be, it's usually our family, whether we're a kid, it's still our family, or it's the children we have procreated. We think, it's our family, it belongs to us. Especially this body and especially the mentality, the intelligence that goes along with it. And all of this is held together by the false ego. We've lost the real ego. The real ego is our Krishna consciousness. With the false ego, we're thinking this is all ours. We're thinking I am mine. It's mine and I am this. This is mine. So, we take on different dharmas, different occupations, and we believe that is me. I'm a banker. Or, I am some sort of administrator or businessman or teacher, or a soldier or whatever it may be. We think like that is me. And then we retire and we still believe we belong to some country or, some family. And we believe that, God will justly reward us for our good deeds. And usually many times it's hard for people to believe that God's also going to justly reward us for our bad deeds. But the religious people, they think that God will somehow ever save them from that because they've been somewhat faithful. There may be some truth in that, but the deeds will follow us to the grave. Those deeds will follow us to the grave and they will result in our next body. So if one is fervently religious and they keep crying out to God, then certainly God is there for them, but God is simply attempting to explain to them in the form of transcendental Vedic literature that it's these deeds are all wrong. You have a misconception of life. You're not really this body. You don't really belong to this world of, everybody competing, trying to achieve and bring happiness to themselves and their kith and kin and their communities and nations and planets and universe. No, you've lost your connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you're meant to serve Him. And all religion teaches that. Krishna comes and he tries to teach people that in so many ways, so many languages. He attempts to teach people the simple fact that we're simply a humble servant of God and we're meant to serve Him. The Vedic literature is supreme. It pulls the conditioned soul, pulls us out of this material mentality, which we all have experience of it. We've been habituated to it, and it's very hard to get out of it. Prabhupada gives the example of like being tied up with ropes, and how can you get out if you're all tied up? Your hands are behind your back, you're tied up. There's no getting out unless somebody comes and unties it for you. So the spiritual master, he comes and he brings the Vedic literature. Spiritual master comes in the form of the super soul within the heart, guiding us, and he comes externally as the guru. So many gurus teaching us, instructing us, until eventually one even commits themselves to this way of life, and will take initiation, formally, like arranging a contract. I will accept initiation. I promise to take these vows. I'm no longer going to, get into this material sense enjoyment. No, I've had it with that. I'll take initiation. I promise I won't do those things. And, instead, I'm going to try to glorify Krishna. I'll just take the simple Maha Mantra, and I promise I'll chant it every day. I'll sit and I'll listen, and I'll hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. That was Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was the ideal example of a preacher of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada, following in his footsteps, gave it to us in our language. You know, we didn't have to learn Sanskrit to hear the Bhagavatam. But Prabhupada gave it to us in our language and even gave us the Sanskrit and our type of letters so that we could chant. And he, you know, and he spoke it and showed us how to speak it and how to hear it, and made it available for us to read. And that way, devotees gain the opportunity to actually get out of this material mentality, and then serve the spiritual master by helping others to do so also. Not that we simply sit down and hear and chant and go back home to Godhead, but we sit down and hear and chant, and we invite others to sit down and hear and chant. And there has to be, you know, a higher taste. One has to be able to get some taste, as Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita. One needs a higher taste in the 2nd chapter. Without a higher taste, it's very difficult to give up the lower taste. Now, how can people give up meat eating, intoxication, womanizing, gambling, speculating? How can we give up all these things? You know, it's a part of our culture. Look at the food that people eat and what they drink, and how they enjoy one another. You know, it's just a part of the Malechers and Yavana culture, the non-Vedic culture. So it's impossible to give that up without a higher taste. If people can't get a higher taste, how can they give that up? So there has to be a lot of prasadam distribution. Tons of prasadam distribution. Tons of Krishna's mercy has to be distributed. You know, people need a change in music. You know, they need a change of looking at one another. You know, that we don't see one another as objects of gratification. You know, where some man is always going to provide and protect and give me whatever I want, or some woman's going to gratify my senses and bring me pleasure and children and always be there for me and with encouragement, etc. No, that is, you know, ultimately we see one another as Krishna's devotee, and that we serve one another to please Guru and Gauranga, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His bona fide representative. There's an unlimited mission. I mean, how can we help others out unless we can somehow ever give them a higher taste? And it may start off very little. I mean, isn't it hard, Dr. John, getting a higher taste? We're always being dragged down to that lower taste. You know, fighting with our mind and trying to find someone who somehow ever appreciates me and is going to love me and help me. You know, it's so difficult. But if we can adopt this course of life, then that will lead back home to Godhead. Whereas if we just ignore it, saying it's too difficult to get that taste, which doesn't cost us money. It doesn't cost us money. You know, we don't have to pay some bill for it. You know, it's just there for us to take by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. But if we somehow ever ignore it as being too hard, even though there's no time limit on it, you can take it whenever you want, there's no time limit on it. Now Lord Chaitanya said there's no hard or fast rules, you just come and enjoy it. You know, you can come and bow down to Krishna anytime. He's not prejudiced. Anyone can come and bow down to him. You know, we may come from the most fallen background, but still, you know, the International Society at least will allow anyone to come and bow down to Krishna. You know, and you know, Krishna can reward that higher taste at any time. Whereas in the material world, people are always charging me for that higher taste. Or, you know, I may find some relationship, but I shouldn't think that person's not an individual who doesn't have desires of their own. and who expect something out of it. It just isn't like that. Even amongst employers and employees, they each expect something. Everything's like that in the material world. You know, expectation is there amongst everyone in the world. You know, we're always being held accountable to somebody else's expectation as well as our own. But in Krishna consciousness, it's simply free to try to get a higher taste and change our mentality where no longer will we be let down by our expectations of others. Because Krishna, it's impossible for Krishna to let us down. It's impossible. He's too great. He's too powerful. Too beautiful. There's no way we will ever be disappointed. It's impossible. We're so insignificant. And He's so great that it's virtually an impossible calculation, or whatever you may call it. It's a fact that it's impossible for Krishna to let us down. But you know, we have to want Him. If we don't want Him, and we, ignore Him, and we disappoint Him, and we do whatever, offend Him even, then the fault is our own. And that's what the spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya, is trying to save us from. And Lord Chaitanya is doing this in such a way that every brahmana and minister in the world just wish they had a small little bit of that Shakti or energy. Because Lord Chaitanya would simply relish Krishna consciousness Himself. And just by getting a glimpse of that, or just by seeing somebody else who had a glimpse of that, people would themselves become Krishna conscious. So that's the power of Lord Chaitanya. That's the power of Krishna. He doesn't have to bend over backwards and wear Himself out trying to help each and every one of us. But it's just a natural thing. A natural thing. He didn't even have to come to earth to do this. But as Lord Chaitanya, He did to bring Himself into the hearts of every living creature. So we have to take advantage of it. Because, in the material world, everything is calculated and the time's going to run out. And Lord Chaitanya's mission will disappear. And then we have the awful Kali Yuga to deal with, where people, are very sinful. In very sinful ways they try to enjoy themselves. And we can very easily be a victim, while we may also be a perpetrator of someone else. So it's a very dangerous age. And if we don't take the opportunity to get out, then, we can become victimized by the age and may have to wait for Kalki to come around to free us. So, that higher taste, it's available. But each of us, we have to try to get a little bit of it and grasp it. I see Madhava, almost on a weekly basis is lamenting on social media about how he can't get that higher taste. He cries for it. I just can't get it. In the material world, they're crying, I can't get enough material sense gratification. Madhava's crying, I just can't get enough Krishna consciousness. I don't seem to have a capacity for it. All that, my mind keeps wanting to go back to this stupid material world. Weekly I hear him crying like that. But that's what's required, that we have to want Krishna. We have to be willing to do that on our deathbed. I use Dwijari as so much of an example because he died in front of all of us. He was always telling us to, serve Prabhupada. Prabhupada is Krishna's representative. And then when he was dying, all he could do was look at those pictures on the wall. And, and try to mumble the Maha Mantra. But that's what he was doing. You know, he felt ashamed for, you know, having, to whatever extent he felt, he left Prabhupada's lotus feet. Said, I should have never did it. I should have never did it. But then he was remembering at the end, you know, that's what's required. That's what Krishna says. If you remember me, I will be there. But if we don't remember Krishna, and instead we're just going to remember our conditioned body, which has come about from our conditioned activities. And we're going to get another conditioned body in the next life because we're so happy with those activities. You know, like I got these friends, you know, that I grew up with. And they just love what they did in the past. They have like these big Facebook groups where they all just reminisce the nostalgia of growing up in Kenner. Wasn't it great in junior high school? In high school, we were all together. Remember what we did? Remember the dances? And they just go on and on and on about it. And they want to have reunions and get together. And then it's so funny because when they end up on opposite ends of the political spectrum, then they start fighting with one another. You know, and start making accusations against each other. So what will they have in the next life? They're just hoping Jesus will save them, but then what if Jesus puts them in an ashram where they don't have all that kind of stuff? Will they want to stay there? Will they want to stay there? You know, what if he makes them try to get the higher taste in a different form? It's not in the form of beer anymore. You know, it's not in the form of the things that they eat. It's in a different form. You know, what if they have to become a vegan even? What if they only serve plant-based food in that ashram? You know, that first you have to do a ritual to please God before you can eat. You know, they can't go to any old restaurant and just pay money for some cook is thinking about the money he has to make by cooking it. And then they sit there and enjoy it all. I mean, are they going to really be happy? Will Jesus be able to transform their mentality? Or Mohammed, they're thinking they're all going to go to some impersonal God and, you know, and enjoy heavenly sense pleasure, like with Indra and all the Apsaras. They're all just wanting that. Like many Hindus do also. Just give me the world of Indra. You know, in the celestial sphere, where I can enjoy sense gratification to the fullest extent without any worry of disease. I don't have to worry about getting cancer. You know, I can eat as much as I want, and the drink is going to make me healthy instead of making me stupid. That's what they all want. And so, how can they expect to get the higher taste? How long will they stay in that ashram of the spiritual master who's trying to give them Krishna consciousness? You know, we're just a humble servant. You know, you have to get the higher taste from, you know, relishing the association of devotees and hearing and chanting and performing pujas and sacrifices and doing all kinds of unlimited activities of surrender to Krishna. Even Lord Nityananda was ordered, go door to door, knock on people's doors with Haridas Thakur. And even they were sometimes chased off by people who didn't want to hear it. Get away, you infidels, or whatever they call them. You know, we're good, you know, Hindus. You know, we don't look at you. You're not even dressed properly, and you come from a Muslim family. Get out of here. You know, trying to bring this chanting stuff. The Muslims are going to simply run us out of here the way you guys act. And they just run Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur off. But they would ever surrender to Lord Chaitanya. They would continue day after day, on and on, to the extent that they even approached the biggest debauchees, the worst of the worst, the meanest of the meanest, and asked them to be Krishna conscious. I mean, it's how great of a surrender is that to be doing, actually serving Guru and Krishna, Guru and Gauranga like that. But that's where the pleasure comes from, that the devotees are following this process of devotional service. Like Maharaj Ambarish, his legs for walking to the temple, his eyes for seeing the deities, his tongue for tasting the prasad that was offered to the deities, his nostrils for smelling the tulsi leaves at the Lord's lotus feet. They would practice this devotional service became their life and soul. That's what we have to cultivate. It's a practice maybe for us conditioned souls that day after day we practice it. But like it said here in this purport, that pure devotional service is when it becomes spontaneous, when that's what we really love to do. We can't think about going to the bar. Lord Chaitanya, he told people, he told Srivas, he told one Pukka Brahmin, he said, even if you see Nityananda going into a bar, you should never think that he's fallen. Even if he marries a Muslim girl, you should never think that he's fallen. Because his devotion is completely spontaneous. People couldn't understand him. He's an Avadhuta, he's a sannyasi. Look how he's dressed. Look how he acts. Look who he associates with. How could they understand? But spontaneous devotional service doesn't care for what people think. They just go out and chant. They go any place and chant. And they don't care who listens and who follows. They can become a devotee. Otherwise, what were we if Prabhupada didn't accept us? Prabhupada had to stand up for us and defend us. We didn't come from Brahmin families. We were not born in Vedic culture. In fact, we were born in the families of people that persecuted Vedic culture. So, Prabhupada had to defend us to become a part of this culture, so to speak. And not just be a part of the ritualistic culture to go back to Indra, but to join Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement and join Radha and Krishna's Leela. And to actually have a taste like the gopis have, and like the cowherd boys have, and like the parents and aunts and uncles all have in Rajabhumi. Thank you, Mother Gora. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Are you going to be here long, or are you just driving away?
Just for today.
The whole day?
Well, I'll be leaving this evening.
Where are you staying? You just kind of roaming around?
With Sukha.
Okay, you're with Sukha. Okay. He got plenty of room. All right, so, just let us know what we can do to help you. Take a book, whatever you want, take some gift.
Can you come for lunch
I'll
time?
drop by later.
Lunchtime,
I'm just
you
gonna
know?
go check on Mirabai.
Okay.
She's here also.
Oh, she's here also. Okay, what about the children?
Yeah, they're here.
Nityo also?
No.
Working?
Yeah.
Hare
We
Krishna.
will-
All right, so it's 8:30. Time to conclude. So we have any comments or questions? Hare Krishna.
When you're talking about celestial plane or something, what came to my mind when I was reading last night was the wives of the Brahmins. And Prabhupada explains because they were Swantic Brahmins, they were looking to go to the heavenly planets. And so when Krishna Balaram and Krishna's telling the cowboys, you can try and go to the Swantic Brahmins to get some food, but I don't think that will work too well because they're into this whole ritualistic, Vedic ritualistic thing. So the point I was seeing that they, at the end, they were glorifying their wives because the spontaneity of, even though they were going to see Krishna and all the husbands, the sons, all the different family members were not wanting to do it, but out of love for Krishna and spontaneously, you could see how they had that spontaneity because they were always thinking of Krishna, that they did went no matter what. And then in the end, you see how they were, the Smarty Brahmins were like saying, to hell with all these Vedic things, that you could see how wonderful their wives were, that they had that such a loving
Love for
attachment
Krishna.
to Krishna.
I found it interesting when you're talking about a higher taste. Like I've been here for 6 months, like today,
Mhm.
and it's the longest I've ever gone like not eating meat, like in
Wow.
my whole life. And I feel like I could never go back to like that lifestyle.
Wow.
I feel like the world's like totally different now.
Oh, God.
You were mentioning one Madhava who weekly was coming for devotion. So you
I wonder
heard
who
him.
that is.
Huh?
I wonder who that Madhava is.
But you said you heard him.
Well, when you read it, it's like hearing, you know. I can read, I can feel, I can not only hear, I can
So
feel
by divine,
the deep emotion of it all, you know.
you have
I
divine
feel
wisdom.
it.